All right.
We have another fun guest.
We have another fun guest continuing with the conversation of LGBTQ pride. We have Veronica Carrera. She is a writer, a sales manager, and your friend.
And our first in-person guest since March 15th. How are you?
Came back to the studio.
Good to see you
What's
both.
going on?
So tell us about your new book.
Well, so the title of the book is Mormon, Gay, and Ironman, a remarkable journey to self-acceptance and love.
Wow.
And what this book is about is really about letting go of anything that in your life, any story, any circumstances, any dogmas that no longer serves us. It's truly about letting go of a life that no longer honors your soul. And is about a journey that starts with courage, transformation, and ends with healing.
Yeah. See, Veronica, it's so brave to make that kind of transition. And a lot of people say, oh, I want to do it too. But if you and you know, your fellow, you know, people who share this similar kind of experience, they're like, well, I've been told all my life I'm different. I just have to be careful about things. What do you say to them to take that first step?
Because you were different in so many ways, right? Being Mormon in Ecuador, you know, immigrating at a late age to the United States, having to come out, you know, being a minority in this country, you know, very unique experience.
So
also
many
rising
aspects,
through the corporate ranks. I mean, your story is very compelling. How do you embrace being different and celebrate it?
Yes, and that is exactly what the book is about. It's really, and obviously it's not easy. You know, you have to come to terms with the idea that the life and the stories that you were told is not really, you know, they're not really true. That you have to come to terms that at the end of all of this is only love. And you have to learn to love yourself. And that is probably the most important goal and one we should have. And when it comes back to the book, for instance, the titling itself, like you said, how do you get to that point that you accept yourself, right? Mormon, Gay, and Ironman in itself. And I want to explain this because the Ironman, right, is basically how the story is framed. And
it's the hardest, for people who don't know what the Ironman is, it is the hardest. What is it? It's a marathon, a 100-mile bike ride, and how long of a swim?
I'll tell you. So it's about a 140-mile race. It's the longest triathlon race in the world. It takes about 17 hours to complete. That's the maximum amount of time. So the book uses this race as a metaphor, and it frames the story of me growing up as a Mormon, becoming a Mormon missionary, and then spiritual leader in the Mormon church, and having to come to terms with being gay in a church that believes that being gay or being homosexual is a sin next to murder. So the whole journey is a journey of transformation and finding a place where you learn that all those stories that you have been told all your life, then you have to let them go. You have to shed the fear, the shame, everything so that you get to love.
I feel like I shouldn't even be asking you this, and apologize if this is like rude or anything. I'm very curious to know that, you know, you're gay and then you're part of the Mormon church. I'm sure you get asked all the time, how can you be this way? And then you still believe in your faith.
Well, I actually left the church when I was 37 years old. So I struggled through it my whole life. I loved my faith. I have so much to be grateful for. It taught me a lot of my values, but there was a point that I could no longer live with being gay and being Mormon, so I had to let something go. And the act of letting something go was really about choosing myself. It was choosing me.
That's so hard, and I wish you hadn't had to have made that choice.
Yeah.
Veronica, you rose through the corporate ranks, and that's a part of your story. Tell me about that. How did you do it? As a female
As a
immigrant,
woman
struggling with her
immigrant.
sexuality, religious minority that people have some odd opinions about as well, right? How did you embrace being different and leverage that into a sustainable career?
I think I owe a lot to it, to my mom, my grandma, my family that put education first. There was never a doubt in my mind when I came here when I was 16 and I didn't speak a word of English. And then you have to sit in a class where they're studying Shakespeare and you have to like, what are they talking about? But the determination that I had to have to truly do well in school, eventually finish college, and understand that I had to honor my family, honor the values that they taught me, and that no matter what, I was going to succeed. And it's that determination, that resilience that we have to have as immigrants in this country.
So Julia's a sports reporter, so she's going to ask you a little about your your athletic.
New sports shows to trying to be a bit interviewing a lot of Olympians. What do you play, and what was your journey like?
So when I was in Ecuador, I competed nationally in pentathlon. And I was number one in disc and javelin. But usually I placed third in running. It was never my forte, but I competed nationally. It was wonderful to grow up that way. So as an adult, the athlete in me never left me. So I started doing marathons. I did one in South Africa. It was probably one of the most amazing experiences of my life. And then I realized, in South Africa, actually, someone said, why don't you do an Ironman? And my book starts even with that question, right? Of someone in South Africa, one of the athletes asking me, you should do an Ironman. And I was like, what is that? It's 140 miles. It takes probably about 17 hours. This is crazy. But I ended up doing it.
I guess that's not a challenge after everything you've been through.
Exactly.
I feel like I could make it about a mile before I died.
I have had Ironman finishers on my show before, and they described it as brutal. You know, a lot of endurance. How did that kind of endurance help you after you came to the U.S. and then people tell you, not sure about somebody like you can be here and do everything that you do? How did it help you?
It's interesting because I came to the United States first when I was 16. I did my Ironman when I was in my early 40s, right? But I think for me, I was back then, it was about doing the impossible and not allowing anyone to tell me that I couldn't do it.
Seems like you're addicted to that, aren't you? You have a little impossible addiction problem.
Yeah.
No. And thank you for mentioning that. You know why? Because it was a very healing experience to do it. It was powerful. It was healing. It was about your mind overcoming your body. But now, since then, it's being about more about going inside of myself and understanding that it's okay to be still and that I have an infinite value that comes from my Creator. And it's about acceptance and stillness. And at the same time, continuing my athlete journey, but in a way that is not about proving anything. I don't have anything more to prove.
Because you already proved it.
And it's more where I am in life right now.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds
about love.
incredibly peaceful and a lot better than the journey, isn't it? It's about
But
the
all led to it. All of it. Everything that happens in our lives happens for us, not to us. And every single experience that you have had has led you to where you are today. And now I feel this call where I feel like I have found a lot of healing in my life. How do I provide that to others? And that's why I thought I have to have courage to tell my story, because it takes a lot of vulnerability to do that, to disclose everything about your life. But I also know that in the Mormon community, the suicide rate for LGBT people is really, really high. So there's no way that I need to stay in silence. I need to do something about it and save lives.
Yeah, what you said, what happens in life happens for you, not to you. Mm-hmm. I would imagine some of our viewers may not feel that yet, but I hope everybody gets to that point.
Yeah, it gets better, folks. Veronica, thank you so much for taking the time to share your story with us. We look forward to reading the book.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you
So
for
good to see
being
you.
here. Very good to see you.
Wow, great conversation.
Hey, thank you for telling everybody my sports credential.
I love you.
I love you.